Welcome into today's episode of Sunday Flags. I'm Mason Kinnahan. That over there is Luke Brown. And Luke, we have for the first time here in 2026 a PGA Tour winner. Chris Gotterup takes the Sony Open at Waialae Country Club with a score of 16 under par. Luke, 4 great days of golf action out in Hawaii. And Chris Gotterup, your breakout player of the year, which we'll get to in a little bit, but a big-time win for a guy like Gotterup.
Yeah, and as you said, he's my pick that we revealed last Sunday in the morning. That this is the guy that I thought that was going to break out on tour this year and kind of have that Ben Griffin-esque year, and he's off to a terrific start in a field that was not bad. Like, this is a legit win on the PGA Tour. I mean, no disrespect to Potgieter's win at the John Deere Classic last year, but this isn't a John Deere Classic. Like, this is a tournament that had 7 out of the top 20 players in the official world golf ranking in the field, including number 5 in the world, Russ Henley, and Robert McIntyre, who was right up there at T4. So this is a pretty legit win on tour this year, and obviously, happy that he was able to get the job done. And Sunday leaderboard that fluctuated quite a bit, which is sometimes all you can ask for.
Yeah, I feel like for some reason, whenever we talk about weak fields, why do we always go to the John Deere? I mean, they got weak fields every year, but the John Deere didn't need that on this, Sunday night.
That's a bridge that will cross in July.
Yeah, but Chris Gotterup with the big time win. It's his 3rd career win on tour. He has won in each of the last 3 seasons here on tour. And Gotterup, the winner of the Scottish Open last July, is now a winner at Waialae. It was a 63, 69, 68, 64 on Sunday for Gotterup, someone who shot 5 under par in his last 14 holes. His putter especially was on a tear throughout the day.
Yeah, and you talk about him in terms of his career. Well, first you talk about him. Let's talk about his round. Obviously, he was bogey-free with the exemption of the 4th hole. He had a 4 on a par 3 there. Birdies to start the day on 2 and 3. Had 1 on 7 and 9. And then, he played the last 4 holes throughout the entire week. He was bogey-free and was 6 under in the last 4 holes. That's really good consistency. Struck me, I would assume it was a 5-iron that he used on 18 today instead of playing driver. That's a par 5. I forget how many yards that hole was. I think over
500 plus. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think it was over 500. So playing it safe. He hit a lot of lower shots to play him safe, and obviously he knows what he's doing. And then in terms of him career-wise, for him, this is his 3rd win on the PGA Tour, and that's spread out across 3 seasons now. He won obviously today, so he's got a win to his name in 2026. He also had a win last year at the Scottish Open that nobody really saw coming, that earned him a spot in the Open Championship, which he ended up, T2? Was it T2? T3 in a major last year. And then I'm blanking, and plus it's not loading up here, his win 2 years ago, Myrtle Beach, in 2024. So with a win today, Gotterup has wins in each of his last 3 PGA Tour seasons. The only 2 active players that have longer streaks are number 1 in the world, Scottie Scheffler, who has 4, and number 2 in the world, Rory McIlroy, who has a win in each of his last 8 seasons. That's pretty damn good company for Chris Gotterup, and to be 1 season off of Scheffler, and obviously Scheffler, hasn't been in the game as long as Rory has. Rory has, been so good for so long. But you like the way that Gotterup's going in his career here. That's one reason why I picked him to have a year that was going to really lift his game and progress his career, and he did not waste any time with that today.
Yeah, at this point, I think he was, this time last year, he was 195th, I want to say, in OWGR, or somewhere around that. He was in the high 100s, and now he is with the win. Before his win counts, He is 17th in the world, and this win's going to, of course, definitely put him in the top 15. So a big time win from Gotterup. And you talked about some of his shots on his round today. The putter got really hot at the right time too. You look at 5 of the 6 birdies that he made, or 5 of the 7 birdies that he made today. 10-footer on the second hole, but then 18-footer on the 7th, 21-footer on the 12th, 26-footer on the 13th, and 11-footer just to cap it all up after a great approach shot into 17 on the 17th hole. So a great day from Chris Gotterup, and he is someone that, you don't want to overreact, but given his age and given where things are trending in his career, only 26 years old, he is someone that is climbing up those ranks in the OWGR, and someone who could start to enter after a good year this year that category of some of the world's best.
Yeah, and he was, as you mentioned, with his putting, he was second in the field in terms of putts per green in regulation. It was somewhere, I think it was somewhere in the 1.6 territory. So 1 or 2 putts per green in regulation. He was really good. Did you just mention his strokes gained on the field in terms of putting?
Not yet.
Which was 2.83.
Yeah.
Like, wow, that is really, really impressive. The top of the field was Johnson, who had 4.04. Obviously the rest of his game did not keep up with that. He was T61. And then Matthew Pavone was 3.54 in terms of strokes gained on the field. Messner was 3.02. McIntyre was right there. Gotterup was right there. But man, it seems like there's not really a spot in Gotterup's game that is not right there. Like it seems like he kind of does everything well enough to win tournaments. And who do we say that about all the time but Scotty Scheffler? And obviously, I'm not comparing Gotterup to Scheffler.
Comparing Chris Gotterup to Scotty Scheffler. Chris Gotterup to Scotty Scheffler confirmed. You heard it here first.
He's got a ways to go. But man, like you talk about their games pretty similarly. He makes the smart play. He does what's going to win him a golf tournament, not what's going to, help him or make a flashy play right now. And that's exactly the stuff that we say about the number 1 player in the world.
Yeah, Chris Gotterup's iron play today and approach play was not, the best we've seen from him, but it was really the putter that kind of pulled things together and helped Gotterup get the win. You talked about it a little bit already, but I want to talk about those like low stinger shots he was hitting. We saw throughout the round today. The wind at Waialae throughout the entire week was a problem. Ever since the first day, the course seemed to just be very difficult. I mean, you look at the scores on the first day, the leader was at 8 under, 9 under, and we finished at 16 after all 4 days. So the wind really started to pick up, especially on the weekend. And Gotterup's low shots, especially once he had the lead, just kind of taking out the factor of the wind and giving him, ability. Hey, I know I'm going to hit these fairways with these low shots. I know I'm going to be able to put myself in the best position on these approach shots and make sure I don't lose the tournament myself and force someone to come and chase me, which the way he was putting, the lead just kept on going throughout the entire day. But a very, very impressive performance from Chris Gotterup, who again earns his 3rd win on tour, 22 birdies throughout the entire week, and it kind of capped it all off with a very good putting day on Sunday. Let's go to the rest of the leaderboard though, because shortly behind Gotterup was Ryan Gerard at 14 under, 2 strokes back. He shot 5 under on Sunday, and someone that was in the lead for a little bit, and someone who kind of was, playing with the lead for a little bit as well. In the front 9, the first half of today's rounds for the leaders and for a lot of the guys that teed off late today, really felt like it was up for grabs for anybody. I mean, of course, Davis Riley, we'll get to him in a little bit, entered the day with a 2-stroke lead, and quickly things kind of changed on its head and opened up the door for Chris Gotterup, who's one of the best players in this field, to get the win. But guys like Gerard, who was in it, 69, 64, 68, kept him in it throughout this one. But he in terms of the first 9 holes for him, it was a real struggle.
Yeah, it was. And he kind of came out of nowhere, but nobody really expected him to be on this leaderboard today. I personally, I mean, that sounds obvious, but I was kind of expecting some of the bigger guns to dominate this tournament. I felt that the course was suited for them to kind of go out there and do what everybody expected them to do. We didn't necessarily see that. We'll get into that momentarily. Gerard comes in and, just 65 is good. It just was not good enough to fend off Gotterup. I think that the guys that played well today, you can't discount what they did. I mean, a lot of guys played really, really well today, but Gotterup was just better than a lot of guys. Again, it sounds obvious, but I think that's kind of what it boiled down to. Somebody had a really good round that I'm losing here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah, 7 under today. Berger was 6 under, Pendrith was 6 under, Bridgman was 6 under, Rogers was 5, Gerard was 5. I mean, nobody had that brick wall sort of thing like Nick Taylor did. Nick Taylor was even, and at one point it seemed like, man, this guy's going to go back to back and win this tournament 2 years in a row, and just kind of hit a brick wall. Wasn't able to secure enough birdies to get the job done. But that's not how I feel about the guys that hovered around that leaderboard today. Even guys that were already there coming into the day, they couldn't fend off a Gotterup that was 6 under, was already 10 under coming into the day. Same way I feel about Patrick Rogers, who's now branded by himself. I don't know if you saw Patrick Rogers' hat.
I did not see that.
He's got his own brand. Nobody saw this coming. Nobody knew it was coming. But he's got his own logo and wore his own hat. Meant to mention that to you before we hopped on. But he's got his own hat.
Let's take a look at this Patrick Rod. Top Care brand is the name of.
Is that what it's through?
Top Care was his partner last year. So I guess now it's just him doing his own thing.
Yeah.
Good for him, I guess.
Good PR, literally PR.
Good PR for PR. Yeah. So it is quite the thing there. But as far as the top 3, we look at the top 3 heading into Sunday. Davis Riley had a 2-shot lead over Harry Hall, Kevin Roy, and Chris Gotterup. And then T5 was Gerard, John Perry, and Nick Taylor. Patrick Rogers was 8 under, 4 shots off the lead, and he finishes 3 shots off the lead, but moved up the leaderboard in a day where, he shot 5 under, but a lot of these other top guys towards the top heading into Sunday really struggled. And guys like Rogers and Gerard did take advantage of it. Before I get into a couple of the guys that really struggled, I want to talk about Robert McIntyre a little bit, because McIntyre is someone to me that I think is in for a big year. He is someone that has competed a lot and has won multiple events. I mean, he's a top 10 player in the world. He won the.
If it weren't for Scotty Scheffler absolutely dominating the BMW last year on Sunday, he would have won that BMW.
Yeah, that, and he's coming off the win at Alfred Dunhill Links, which I believe, if I want to say, he kind of backdoored that, was able to win. Could be wrong there, but. The U.S. Open really fought hard at
was right there.
Course was right there, and again almost backdoor to win at Oakmont at the end, and then a top 10 finish at the Open. This is a guy that's been playing really, really well, and in his last 5 events now, it's win at Alfred Dunhill Links, T9 at Abu Dhabi, T8 at the DP World Tour Championship. Hero World Challenge is the top 3, so it's only a 30-person field or 20-person field, so I'm gonna ignore that. But then today or this weekend, a T4 for him. So this is someone that has 4 top 10 finishes and full field events in his last 4 starts. Just a very consistent player, and I know this is not a field that has a ton of the top guys, But we've talked about before, what do you say, 7 of the top 20
7 of
players
the top 20, yeah.
are in this field. So still some very good competition for McIntyre. And in the past, before last year, we haven't really seen him compete at majors. And even with like his US Open runner-up, that was more so of a late, everything kind of fell into his hands almost at the end. But if this guy can compete in majors this year and really fight for wins at the big events, I think we could definitely see him in the top 5 and potentially even jumping some of these top players that we currently have. But beyond McIntyre, there were 2 players in the top 18 or top.
Real quick on McIntyre. Shot a 63 today. Obviously, we know that. Missed a 3-footer on 18 on Friday, and snapped his putter.
Yes.
Or I'm sorry, it was on. Was it on 17?
17. It was on 17.
Oh, he snapped his putter.
Yeah.
And he told the media today, at the end of the day, my attitude cost me this golf tournament, and I can't be allowing that. If his attitude, and he's aware of that, is standing in the way of him winning golf tournaments, then watch out, because that's easily correctable, in my opinion. I mean, that's pretty easily correctable, and and he got his attitude together. That's Friday, still makes the cut. Comes out Saturday, does the job, and then comes out and makes the best effort to try and win the golf tournament today and shoots 7 under on a course that it's not necessarily easy to do that. You're already dealing with a par 70. Yeah, you're already dealing with a par 70 to go that low today. That's pretty impressive. And I think you're right. I think he's primed for a big year.
Yeah, 67-63 on the weekend after shooting a 71 in the second round. And that is 10 under par on the weekend. So very, very kind of good bounce back for Robert McIntyre. And he was also tied with Jacob Bridgman as well, who shot a 64, another great round, and finished T4. But Bridgman was never really in it, I felt like, at any point here. But there were we can keep on going down the leaderboard, but to me, there were a couple of guys that stood out to me. There was 2 players today that shot over par that were in the top 18. One of them was Davis Riley, who was Saturday night's leader. He finishes T6, and the other was Kevin Roy, who was also in one of the final groups and shot a 71 today in his T13. So we'll start with Davis Riley. Riley was someone who, coming in again to the Sunday, a 2-stroke lead. Quickly though, things took a turn for him once he got to the 6th hole, I believe. I'm pulling it up now. Yeah, the 6th hole. From 6 through 8, he goes bogey, double. And things changed from a 3-stroke lead at one point, I believe, to a 2-stroke deficit. And things really flipped on its head for Davis Riley. In those 3 holes, Riley never recovered. He went 1 under par the rest of the way. For a guy like Riley, what does a performance like this, help build on, though, in the future, knowing what it's like to hold that Saturday night lead?
I think it's just frustration. I think of how things went today is going to be really important for him, and he obviously knows that and is aware that that's going to be able to fuel him going forward. And the fact that not a lot of people really expected him to be in that position in the first place, I think it's all kind of fuel for him going forward. And having a blow-up hole cannot lose you golf tournaments, and that's what obviously unfortunately happened to him, and he fell quite far. If you would have told me in the middle of the day, or the middle of, I guess, the afternoon/evening, that he was going to be T6 at 11 under, I would say no way. And that's the reality that we have. He had a bad stretch of holes, as you mentioned. Obviously capped off by that 8th hole today. He was 2 over going into the back 9 and was able to recover with a birdie. Bogeyed the next. He couldn't seem to find it. Finished off. I think the 18 was kind of the consensus birdie hole today, with Yeah, and probably all week with how it plays and it being one of only two par fives on the course, was able to get that birdie and go one under on the back. But yeah, I think that's just frustrating. It's a frustrating position for him to be in.
Heading into this week's tournament, Davis Riley has not had a top 30 finish since the PGA Championship. And Luke, do you know what he placed in the PGA Championship, perchance?
Well, I don't think it was good.
T2.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was it really?
A T2 at the PGA Championship to Scotty Scheffler. He was tied with Harris English and Bryson DeChambeau.
Why do I not remember that? Do you remember that?
No. I mean, Scotty won that tournament by 5 strokes.
Yeah, it was pretty wrapped up. Both of the majors that he won last year were wrapped by Friday.
Yeah. But he was 4 strokes off the lead heading into Sunday. He shot like a 68 and a 67 in round 2 and round 3, but a 72, I believe, in round 4. So, I mean, he was T2 with the Harris English and DeChambeau in that tournament somehow. But Scott, I mean, we just don't remember it because of Scotty just purely dominating it. But it's been a rough stretch since that T2, and looking at his results from last year, that was pretty much the highlight of it. But it was 3 great rounds of golf from Davis Riley, and this Sunday didn't go his way. Things kind of blew up from hole 6 through 8. But you guys learn from it, and move on, like you said.
So the last time that he made the cut at the Sony Open, Davis Riley making the cut, was January 13th, 2022. So he didn't play in 23 at the Sony, but he was 13 under T20 in 2022. He was cut at Waialae last year.
Yeah, so very uncharacteristic performance, you could say, at a course that maybe he hasn't had that much success with in the past, but still overall for Davis Riley, a much needed result, still a T6, and because the last 8 months for him have really not been great. A lot of missed cuts, a lot of just barely making the cuts and not really having a great result out of it. So a really solid performance from Davis Riley, all things considered. The other guy that kind of fell off the leaderboard was Kevin Roy. Like I mentioned to you, not related to Patrick, the Colorado Avalanche goalie, or goaltender. And so, yeah, but for Kevin Roy, finished at 9 under. He shot 1 over today, and it was just off the tee overall, and pretty much everything. Really, he lost strokes in beyond putting. Rough performance from him, but he
almost broke 60 on Thursday.
Exactly, someone who was
62
really stuck around through the first 3 days, and was the leader of the tournament. I want to say after Thursday, right?
I would imagine it's shooting a 62. Yeah.
He was tied for the lead that night, I think. I don't know.
He must have had at least a share at 8 under through a round. Excuse me.
I can't remember if it was 8 or 9, but yeah, he was either tied for the lead or leading at that point in time. So again, it was. Hold on, I can get it. He was tied for the lead with Nick Taylor and Nick Taylor at 8 under. So, I mean, this is, when you shoot 8 under on the first day, I guess he gained over 3 strokes putting. So that kind of also plays a part in it. And then you shoot 1 under the rest of the way. Not exactly the result Kevin Roy wanted, but he still got a top 15 finish for Roy.
Yeah, and shooting that low, I mean, we'll see how dangerous his rounds can be. But yeah, that really impresses me, that 8 under mark. And obviously Nick Taylor had the same thing. Both of them kind of just could not keep it up off the hot start, I guess.
Yeah. And other notable names in the top 15 or so, we mentioned McIntyre at T4. Pendrith was a T6, tied with Daniel Berger, Lee Hodges, Harry Hall, and Davis Riley.
Really liked how Harry Hall played.
Yeah,
Harry Hall
to play well in these early season tournaments.
Well, and he ended the year really, really well. I mean, he was an absolute contender for a while at the BMW. I want to say probably at the Tour Championship too.
T17. I have to look back at how that finished, but
I was really interested. That was one of my questions coming into the year was how he starts the year, considering like it was never real consideration for a European Ryder Cup spot for him, but like he ended the year so well that's like, oh, I wonder, is Luke watching this? Like, to put him on the European team. I mean, that was the conversation that was like, I wouldn't say being had, but being murmured, maybe like being whispered as like, could this be a real thing? And he starts the year really well. I like the way he played.
Yeah, from the Myrtle Beach Classic in May through the BMW PGA Championship in September, so all the way to the Ryder Cup, he had one finish outside the top 25. He had 3 finishes inside the top 10, and his only non-top 25 finish was a T28 at the Open. So definitely some consistent performances from Harry Hall down the stretch too. He definitely was, some people were talking about it between him and, Matt Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick's play picked up towards the end of the season, which is why, he got that spot. But Harry Hall was someone who definitely, definitely performed well towards the back end of the year, and someone that, could potentially pick up a win here on the tour this year if he continues to play like he's a top 70 player in the world. He won on the PGA Tour before. Let me find it. The ISCO back in 2024. So someone who has played really well recently, and we'll see if his play continues to again another top 10 performance for him this week. So very, very impressive performance from Harry Hall. Siwoo Kim was in contention for a little bit. He was also T11, tied with Jake Knapp at 10 under. For him, a 3 under performance for him today, but it was the putter that let him down big time.
Yeah.
It was bad. There's no other way to put it.
No, there's not. Yeah, he was rough. And it's a course that you needed to play well in the short game, and he did not do that.
Yeah, lost to 1.63 strokes to the field putting today. So that is pretty much the leaderboard. We talked about, 7 players in the top 20 in the world playing at this event this week. We'll start off with Russ Henley, who is 5th in the world right now, a T19 at 8 under, someone who was fighting the cut on Friday, but still was able to put together a really solid performance.
Yeah, my pick to win the tournament was Russ Henley. It was the first ever golf tournament that it was his debut tournament back in 2013 when he was a rookie, and won in that tournament, which was very impressive to me, and has had success at Wildlife through the years. Top ranked player in the field. He was the favorite. I thought that he would get the job done, and I don't necessarily dislike where he was. With his finish, T19 was able to put together consistent golf, and you like that. JJ Spawn was T40 at 5 under. He's the 6th ranked player in official world golf ranking. I would have thought that he would have done better, considering how good he is of a putter. I would have thought that he would have been a little better, but made the cut.
Yeah, he was very popular one and done pick throughout the week. I felt like with JJ Spawn was, because you're at the point too where you're like, these weaker fields, when else are you going to pick JJ Spawn to win a tournament?
Sure. Yeah.
So him getting a T40 is maybe not exactly what people wanted to see. We already talked about Robert McIntyre. Ben Griffin, a T19, so a top 20 finish from him. Again, just consistency we've seen from Griffin ever since he broke out last year. And a top 20 finish in a week that was not his best was very solid.
Yes. And Griffin at T19 was part of my fantasy team as well to take home potential earnings in that, and I was we'll get into fantasy here in a minute, but was happy with how he finished up.
Yeah, and then Hideki Matsuyama at T13, and those 5 golfers were the only top 5. My goodness, those 5 golfers were the 5 in the top 20 that made the cut. The 2 that missed the cut Keegan Bradley and Colin Morikawa. Colin was someone that I picked, and we'll get into that in 1 second. But there's someone who's not in the top 20, but at one point was in the top 20 in the OWGR in his career, who put together 4 really solid rounds of golf this week, and that is 62-year-old VJ Singh, Luke.
Yes, at one point was the #1 player in the world, I think, for 32 weeks in 2002. Now the number might be off by a couple of weeks, but I saw an interesting post on X earlier today about the players to break 70 3 times in a week on the PGA Tour at age 62 or older in the last 20 years. Tom Watson is 2 of them. He did it at Greenbrier in 2013 and 14, and then Bernhard Longer, who I'm not sure why he was playing at the 2020 RBC Heritage. I want to say maybe he placed well in the 2020 Masters. I have no idea why he was in that field, but he played well. He broke 73 times, and then VJ Singh is the 4th guy, or the 3rd guy and the 4th time that it's been done at age 62 or older. And we have kind of been joking consistently about this thing with VJ Singh, as many people in the golf community have, about if the career money exemption shouldn't even be a thing. And whether he played well or not, I don't think that it should be a thing. I don't think that that's something that needs to be getting guys into fields throughout the year. But I'll be interested to see if VJ talked to the media at any point post round today.
We know the answer to that. Come on.
Yeah.
There's no way. There's no way.
I would just like to know what his intentions are. Like, is this going to be a consistent thing? Maybe he did talk to maybe a small group of reporters. If I'm a reporter, that's something I want to know. Like, hey, you play next week? You go to the Amex? Like, I got to look at the tournaments that he is qualified for. It's got to be a lot. And if he plans on making this like an all the time thing where we just see VJ Singh again all the time.
Maybe just VJ Singh 2 decades after he was good just comes back and is just like, I'm just going to play every single week now, and it's back to early 2000s again. Then maybe this is what brings back Tiger to the PGA Tour. Maybe this is it right here. He sees VJ Singh putting up results. He wants to come back and compete. It'd be bad for the PGA Champions Tour, but for the PGA Tour,
yes, it would.
Great stuff.
What if I told you that Bryson DeChambeau would be the biggest rumor of somebody to bring back to the PGA Tour, but they get somebody that's an even bigger name than Bryson DeChambeau back on the PGA Tour in 2026? I actually am interested in how much money VJ made today with his finish, if that's in the leaderboard.
I would have to assume it's got to be just a couple of tens of thousands. It probably much.
Adding to that career money earnings tally.
I mean, this is probably worth that's probably worth, a T20 back in the day, $20,000, $30,000. Inflation's crazy.
Inflation has hit since VJ was in his prime.
Yes. One thing on Bernhard Longer, back in 2020 at the RBC Heritage, like you mentioned, that year he played 2 PGA Tour events. The Charles Schwab Challenge, which was the week before, he got cut. And in the RBC Heritage, he was the T58. But on the PGA Champions Tour, he put together one of the best seasons, I would assume, of all time. He goes T6, T5, T3, win. Okay, T31, whatever. T7, T10, T2, T20, T3, T8, T14, T4, T2, and T5. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 top 10 finishes in 15 events. 12 top 10 finishes in 15 events. That's Scotty numbers.
Was it last year or 2 years ago that he said, "This is my last Masters"?
That was last year, I believe.
He has the lifetime. He has the lifetime exemption into the Masters. But he's played well at Augusta. It hasn't been gimmicky thing necessarily every year for him. He has actually competed at Augusta, so it doesn't surprise me in the least that he was putting up some real numbers 6 years ago on the Champions Tour.
Yeah, and I mean, he still is putting up some numbers on the Champions Tour. He's still playing on it. A couple of top 10 finishes back in October. He had a win in 2024. He won the Charles Schwab Cup Championship, which I believe I want to say is like the big thing on the PGA Champions Tour. So I mean, he is someone that is still playing well, and at 68 years old, he's still doing it. He's still doing it. All right, let's move on now to our predictions. We made it at the beginning of the week. Here they were. Again, our rules here in our kind of season-long competition, we pick one top 50 golfer, one non-top 50 golfer, a past champion of the week's event, and just a classic one-and-done pick every single week. We add up the money at the end, and we'll get a winner. And Luke, these were the results after week number 1.
Colin Morikawa was pretty bust for you.
Yeah. Colin wasn't great. I trusted him. I thought the putter was going to just be average this week. I was like, if the putter is average, he makes the cut, puts together just a solid performance. I wasn't looking for the win. I did predict him to win. That didn't go so well. But yeah, the first donut in our competition here belongs to Colin Morikawa, who's the only golfer who missed the cut on this board. My picks: Morikawa, Matt McCarty, Nick Taylor, and Kurt Kitayama. McCarty and Kitayama put together okay performances, and then Nick Taylor had that. I want to say it was T13, T11, something like that.
Yeah,
Nick Taylor. So
in that category, 193,000 for him, and your grand total is for our anybody listening rather than watching. Mason's grand total 245,827, and I did not have a guy that missed the cut, so I was happy about that. My top earner was Ben Griffin with 118,127. Also had Russ Henley with 111,839, and then a couple tens of thousands. Billy Horschel with 17,000. Denny McCarthy with 31. So my grand total for week 1 is 273,127. So I will carry the lead with me into the American Express next week.
Yes, not by much though. I mean, only
not by much. Yeah,
it was pretty close. I mean, Nick Taylor for me this week really came in clutch. I mean, Morikawa did not. So Nick Taylor, the former champion, last year's champion, really looked to be in contention for 3 days, and then today kind of fell off the pack. But overall, it's kind of even weeks from both of us beyond Collins.
Yeah, very close. I was like, I thought once Colin missed the cut on Friday, I was like, well, I should have that pretty wrapped up. And then once I kind of looked at who was getting what in terms of earnings, I was like, this could be closer than I initially thought, because you had Nick Taylor, who earned over 80,000 more dollars than Russ Henley did. Both Kitayama and McCarthy both placed, I think, T40, I think it was. Yep. So they earned the exact same amount of money. And then Horschel and McCarty were close. McCarty earned 20, Horschel earned 17. So, even though I had Ben Griffin earning 118,000 more dollars in the top 50 category than Morikawa, I was a little nervous that you might take this one from me, and I thought that would be a little embarrassing considering you had 3 golfers and I had 4 that were in contention. So glad to grab a win here. But as you mentioned before we hopped on here, that it is a marathon, and we got a lot of more. I mean, we got golf until late August. So
yes, we do. And kind of going around the world, just real quick here to wrap things up. The DP World Tour this week competed in Dubai, and Nacho Elvira, I believe is how you pronounce that. I apologize if it's wrong, but Nacho gets the win over in Dubai. Shane Lowry with I believe it was a double bogey on the final hole. kind of sent his bunker shot over the green, or it zoomed past the green and into the water on the final hole. So not so great finish for Shane Lowry. And then Rory was in there at a T3 as well, two strokes back. So Nacho gets the win over in Dubai, and they now go to the Hero Dubai Desert Classic next week. The PGA Tour goes to the Amex next week, which we'll get our full preview out on Wednesday for that. It's going to be a pretty stacked field compared to, the Sony Open here as world number one returns, along with many of the other top 10 players in the world. Rory's still on the DP World Tour next week, but a pretty stacked field overall going to be at the Amex.
Yes, absolutely it is. And Nick Dunlap is defending champ there. Is that correct? Or was that
Sepp? It was Sepp Straka.
Yes, 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Dunlap. Looking forward to another good field. I think we've had looking forward, I think we're going to have some good fields here to open up the year, and we'll have that full preview for you. And we'll also have full recap coverage in written form on our website that is linked in the description of this episode, whether you're listening anywhere, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, in the description, anywhere you have our links to our X page, you have our links to our Instagram page and our website as well. So make sure to check us out on there. Our Substack, all of that content is free, and we'll have a recap for you here shortly on what the Sony Open was, as well as plenty of headlines heading into next week on the American Express as well.
Yep, sundayflags.substack.com to read all of our written work there. But that'll wrap up the opening drive on the PGA Tour. The one event. That's right. One event opening drive, but that'll wrap up the Hawaii swing here on the PGA Tour. And for Luke Brown, I've been Mason Kinnahan, and we will see you next time here on Sunday Flags.